Welcome to another exciting edition of the P&B World Cup show. I'm your host, Abel Sunday. And it's a historic and dramatic round of football. We have witnessed the 2026 FIFA World Cup group stage is wrapping up, and the drama is at an absolute fever pitch. We have seen Brazil dominated, Morocco survived a 6-goal thriller against Haiti, and South Africa pulled off a historic fight, dropping upset against South Korea to book their place in the knockout stage. To break down all these tactical masterclasses, the heartbreak, joining me in the studio here is Joseph Etuk, and also joining me live from Port Harcourt to have the brilliant analyst Jackson Caleb, ready to discuss the tactical error and standout performances today in today's matches. So we've got you covered and all packed for today's edition of P&B World Cup show. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Countdown is over. The world is ready. From June 11th to July 19th, football takes center stage as the biggest FIFA World Cup in history unfold across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. 48 nations, 104 matches, countless moments of drama, passion, and glory. Join Abel Sunday and the P&B TV Sports team as we bring you exclusive preview, expert analysis, match review, breaking stories, and everything you need to know from the FIFA World Cup 2026. Who will rise? Who will fall? Which nation will lift football's most coveted trophy? From the group stage battle to the grand finale, P&B TV is your home for the road to World Cup glory. Don't miss a moment of the action. Tune in daily from June 11, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. through July 19th with comprehensive World Cup coverage. FIFA World Cup 2026 on P&B TV. One word, one game, one champion. P&B TV bringing the beautiful game closer to you. For sponsorship, contact Abel Sunday on 081 499 15988. The countdown is over. The world is ready. From June.
It's P&B World Cup show reaching live from the nation's capital, and I'm being joined by Joseph Etu here in the studio. Joseph, it's been a while. We've not seen you for like 2 or 3 days now. I thought that you're stabbing us with your face, isn't it?
Well, once in a while we just come and go.
Okay, you are just in the entertainment thing, isn't it? Alright, all the way from the OS City, we'll have Caleb Jackson. Jackson, how is Port Harcourt this morning? I heard that it has been raining cat and dog. Even in Abuja here, I think we had the same thing. How are you, Jackson, this evening?
Yeah, very well. I'm fine with the weather. The other day it was playing hot and today it's raining cold, so it's all good.
That is why God is ever unique, because he always makes things balanced. Like yesterday it was pretty hot, today is cold, isn't it? At least you test the hotness and also test the coldness, right?
Very well.
Alright, let's dive into the conversation. Yesterday we saw Morocco doing the African thing, and I think, in my own opinion though, I think Morocco have been so exceptional so far in this World Cup, and likewise other African countries. No disrespect, we wanted that South Africa to come back, but against all odds, they disappointed us yesterday and they qualified for the next for the round of 32. But let me start with you, Kelly, before I come to the studio and meet Joseph here, and of course we'll continue. But looking at Morocco versus Haiti, what were you thinking about, and what was the special thing that Morocco did so far in this encounter? And we think that their momentum now, if they keep this momentum, where do you see them finish?
So yeah, once again, good evening, Mr. Sunday, and thank you for this opportunity. Speaking forward to the game, Morocco have come into this game very prepared. They have been on their top gear since match day one, and since 2022 World Cup game, and then they are part of the team. Coming now to the 2026, where Brian Diaz switched nationalities to Morocco. It's a boost to the team. And then they have key players now. Sabri from PSV, you have Hakimi leading as the captain, and then Bono again. So they have key players in experienced positions that can deliver when it matters for them. And then the special thing they've been doing in this competition is, okay, you know what? Let's try and attack first. Let's try and press. Okay, when it's not coming, let's sit back, conserve our energy, then go again. Then the player we've been all talking about, Burut Alou, the 18-year-old star from Lille, has also been exceptional in their midfield. And then yesterday we saw the experience of Amrabat switch. So I feel that as a team, they all have where their area of specialty comes into play at certain points in the game, and they always deliver. That's what I'm talking about. They always deliver when it matters most. So that's the special thing that they've been doing.
Okay, well said, Caleb. Joseph, Haiti is ranked 74th place below Morocco. But tactically, this guy took the lead twice. So what is really going on? Because looking at 50 points is all zero now, because now you are going to the knockout stage.
Yes.
Any small mistake, you are out. So if Haiti can take the lead twice in this encounter, what is the future of Moroccans?
Well, I think the Haiti just pushed on their first luck.
Do you call that block 2 times?
I mean, the early goal they scored actually gave them the momentum to actually push and keep on pushing attack, which led to a second goal. But then at some point, we also need to see that the Moroccans actually had to step up their game and work on their midfield and their defensive line. And we saw that even as the Moroccans actually worked on their defensive line, that was when they started circulating the ball in more for the attackers, which eventually led to them playing a draw at the first half.
Yeah.
Until entering the second half, I think they still had the fire in them. The Haitians were still pushing, but sadly at the, let's say, 10 minutes to the final time, the Moroccans took the lead with I think it was Sabari.
Yes,
he was the one that scored the leading
yes.
goal that made the match 3-2, and then we saw how the match ended.
Okay, well said, Joseph. But Caleb, you saw what happened yesterday. If a Haiti team can get past Morocco's defense 2 times, they took the lead twice. It's quite unfortunate that they don't have that experience to keep it. Do you understand? But if they can go past the Moroccan defense, this is a team that finished 4th last World Cup. They were the first African team to get to the semi-finals of World Cup. That's to tell you the pedigree of a team that that Haiti is playing. Do you get? But if Haiti can score twice past that defense, what is the future of the Moroccans in the knockout stage?
I feel that it will not really affect them in so much that is a sign to the coach that, okay, they don't need to underrate anybody going forward in this tournament. From the way they started the game, it looked as if they already underrated Haiti. They overlooked them, and then it felt that, okay, it was going to be an easy walkover, which was what led to the first goal. The left back and then the midfielders couldn't come back to track. That was a sign of sluggishness, a very sluggish start. But then again, moving forward, I think their eyes will be open to this, and then they know that such risk and mistakes. I don't really think that that's something to affect them going forward.
Okay, looking at Hakim and his
right spaces. If you take a look at the second goal emanated from the build-up from back. Started with Hakimi to Amrabat back to Hakimi on the Walla front, and Hakimi to Sabrai. So if you watch those series of passes, the series of plays that we're taking, it shows the collaboration of the team. That's because they have the individuals who understand how they play, who are familiarized with what they want to do with the ball and where they want to be with the ball at most of the time. Even the first goal that Hakimi scored was as a result of the ball starting from the left. Then again, it showed El Kudus from the left. Coming in, Tabari even came out from the 9 so that to take one of the Haiti centre backs. Quite unfortunate that the centre back had to follow Tabari out for that first goal because an experienced centre back couldn't have fallen for that trick. But then again, it shows the insight of these players and their developed tactics. But like you said, kudos to the coach. At halftime, some tactical adjustments were made, especially on the wings, because was always open. Either Hakimi, they have too much space and time on the ball. So that was, I think that was one of the things that the coach noticed, and I have to do some readjustment.
Sofiani Rahimi scored the vital third goal. But looking at that guy, do you think it will affect his market value going to this transfer window that just opened? Do you think it's going to affect his market value looking at the quality and what he did yesterday?
Bayern have already signed him for 5 million. So as it currently stands, I think that's a fair price for him, because it will not be fair that okay, we give him the 70 million. If we do that and then we come to the league and then we don't see his performances, it might be an override. So I think if he has going to top his market value, scoring in the first African player to score in the 3 group stages of World Cup. Salah did it twice and others have done it twice. So it's going to add to his market value, and then it's going to make him a tougher to get amongst other big clubs. So yes, it's going to affect his market value.
All right, let me come back to the studio. Joseph, we saw Morocco, but well, that is one of our, should I say, that one of the big teams from Africa
African giants. So far.
Yes, we know that they're going to do something in this World Cup. That I think Morocco, if you see the 10 teams that are representing Africa, of course you put Morocco first, that they're going to do something better. We call Senegal, but Senegal was so in fact the result was disappointing so far. Yes, so we call Senegal, you can call Morocco. Even before you even call Egypt, you can call a certain DR Congo. DR Congo also did so well. Do you understand? Yes, but even Egypt has also qualified. But these are the people that will say, okay, they're good. But seeing them qualifying now to the next round, are you surprised, or is this something that we know that yes, is going to happen?
Okay, so I'm actually not really surprised, because I know that African countries have actually had that football spirit in them, and it's not like this is the first time.
We have football spirit in us, and Super Eagles did not qualify.
It's a sad thing that the Super Eagles didn't qualify, but then when you come to look at it, I think we can see that there's actually still football spirit in we Africans.
Even we can say it yesterday. Inside. He was telling Joseph when they are doing commissioning of one and what. He was telling Joseph, go and tell Super Eagles that we are not happy. We are not happy at all. We cannot sit down and be watching people playing and we are not playing. Please go ahead with your point. Yeah.
So that's all I'm really trying to say is I'm not really actually surprised that the Africans are actually in the World Cup, because this is not the first time we're seeing Africans qualify. We can also see a certain Morocco that finished 4th at the last World Cup. So we know that yes, okay, we actually have African teams, even if sadly the Super Eagles cannot represent us, but we know that we have our African brothers to help us push through the World Cup.
Well, that's what you just said, push through the World Cup. And of course, that's all African concern, that everybody that is carrying the continent's flag there, they should make sure they do so well and present us so well. We that will not go, we just say, what do we do is to clap and support them from here. That's our own support. We just clap for them and see how we cheer them to victory. Well, it's time for us to go on a short break, and of course when we come back, we'll be talking about Scotland versus Brazil, what transpired yesterday, and we saw a certain Vinicius Junior doing the impossible, carrying this Brazilian team, the Samba boys they call them, on their shoulders, on his shoulder, I beg your pardon. But don't go anywhere. When we come back, if you really want to know what happened yesterday, just stick glued to your TV. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Show reaching live from the nation's capital. I'm just one channel, of course, P&B TV, that's giving you all this breakdown. And in case you know the time zone between the United States and also Nigeria here is totally different. You must be asleep when the game is going on. So now we just bring you abreast what happened all through the night while you are sleeping, and that's the reason why this show is being organized by the management of P&B TV. But let's start with you. Let's continue with you. I beg your pardon, Caleb. Looking at the Brazil Scotland game, look at Scott McCannans or something, how they call him, slack back pass in the 7th minute, completely gifted Vinicius Junior the first goal. But how much of an opportunity or drama that cost to the Scottish team? Because giving your opponent the lead at the early.
To be honest, that goal was really devastating to watch, seeing that it came from an experienced player, one of his caliber. And then again, we always say this on this show, it is not every nation that is built for similar pattern of play. Scotland is not a nation that have looked very good when starting the ball from the back. So seeing that kind of opportunity, they tried it before and then they almost scored. But luckily they were able to get the ball away. So seeing that okay, they were coming to press, why not quickly just play the ball inside? Like we said, get it to the throw, play it safer. So what I expected. I mean, and then again the goal came and then Scotland were looking to reduce the goal advantage. So immediately they went down. You know, on the look of Sean McGinn's eyes and then Scott McTominay, it already affected the psychology of the game. You have to make them work extra. You have to make them come deeper to collect the ball as opposed to the formation that they used and how they intended to play. So it affected their psychology of the game. But then again, I felt that okay, it was still 1-0. So these guys could have realized their mistakes. They could have done better and then they could have arranged themselves. But to be honest, we cannot overrule the effect of mental psychology in a game. Going down honestly affects you than you expect yourself to come back. So yeah, it did affect their psychology of the game.
Okay, well, I think it's you said it all. You couldn't have. Of course, that will affect the psychology of the game. But looking at, I think there's one player we are not really talking about, and have not really been showing the touchlight, and I think it's really not fair. Vinicius Junior.
Yes, actually.
Practically, I think he's carrying the Brazilian team, the Samba boys as they call them, behind him on his shoulders. Because if you look at what Vinicius Junior have been doing, I think so far it's very impressive. It's very impressive. But from your opinion, how much of praise do we need to give to this guy? Has he been getting enough accolades?
I don't think Vinicius Junior has been given his flowers. I think he needs to be given his flowers because throughout this group stage, I think he was the most rated player in all their matches. And so far, you can also see that he scores in every game. The opener against Morocco, it was Vinicius Junior who gave them the draw against Morocco. Against Haiti, we also saw Vinicius Junior doing his beautiful thing. Yeah. He scored the opener. And against Scotland, he still scored another opener. So I think Vinicius Junior is not really given the flowers he deserves, but I think that we should also consider the fact that he has been the one carrying Brazil.
Yes, I think he has been the one carrying Brazil. But Caleb, let's go over to let me come to you with this. Vinicius Junior, I want to get your thought on him. Yes, he has been one of the best players in Brazil so far, and I think he has not been given that flowers, just like what Joseph rightly said here. Looking at Junior, taking Junior off the Brazilian team, what will you make up of the Samba boys?
They still have enough players with quality, even if they decide to assume Vinicius gets injured. There's a tactical adjustment that you can do to the team that will still encourage them to play. Because I think the whole encouragement starts from the fact that Vini understands the heritage and culture of Brazil. There's something that people do not understand. Before you watch the Brazilian game, I don't know if people have noticed it. Before you watch the Brazilian game, you either see Ronaldo or you see Ronaldinho waving down to these players. Kind of shows that they are with them. They support them and then they give you their go ahead that you can do this. We've done this before. You guys can do this. So Vinicius understands that this is an approval from our predecessors, and then he tries to imbibe that spirit when playing on the pitch. Now let's assume he's taking off. We cannot say, okay, let's start with a tactical 4-4-2. You can bring Kuha to the left, play Hendrick. My problem, I don't know why Ancelotti doesn't like to start Hendrick, but you can play Hendrick up, and then Ryan maintains the right side of the 4-4-2. And then you can now bring Luis Henrique to start the 4-4-2 because those are tactical build-ups you can do to the team. And that's what Ancelotti has been moving with a 4-4-2. Vinicius is obviously operating wide of the left. So if you take him off, Kuha has that freedom, not the same ability to be able to bend the ball, to be able to take on his man, he won't enter inside those tight spaces and get more chances. So let's say Vinicius goes off, Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro, and Lucas Paqueta, the three stable midfield, can find a way to readjust around whoever they bring to the starting lineup.
Okay, I will still stay with you if I come back to the studio with to Joseph. Looking at Brazilian team, since the last time they won the World Cup was 2002. I beg your pardon, Korea, Japan, if you remember very well, 2002. And since then till now, they've been disappointing, to be honest. Brazil have not lived up to expectation. We know that they've won 5 World Cup, the highest so far. No nation have done that. They are the highest so far in the number of World Cups per nation that any nation must have won. But looking at them tonight, even a certain Brazilian team considered 7 in a World Cup game. I think against Germany, so I can't remember. I think against Germany or thereabout.
They hosted that World Cup, yeah, against Germany.
You can imagine. So what is actually missing? Can we say is the Ancelotti present that is the puzzle that is missing in this team, and now they've gotten it right? And arguably, and I want you to try this with. But looking at their game bit by bit, do you see any improvement from the first game they play against Morocco down to this Scotland game? Do you see any improvement?
Yes, I have seen a lot of improvement. It will be very unfair to say that this Brazilian team has not improved, because against Morocco they looked shaky with the ball. They couldn't retain the ball in their midfield, and then they couldn't progress their passes. So those are some of the mistakes that we saw in their game. Now coming against Haiti, we saw them do that better. We saw them link up with their attackers, and then we saw them progress to the final third. And then they continued with that momentum against Scotland. So yeah, there's been a lot of improvement. Bruno Guimaraes has found his passing boots, because Paqueta has found his dancing feet, and then Casemiro with the dirty block doing the tackles to retain the first line of defense. And then again, the attackers have seemed to get their pride back, and then they have been on all forms of shooting spree. Look at scoring in 2 matches that he just played back to back for Brazil. Vinicius finding his feet. So yeah, there has been a lot of improvement, and then we'll rightly say that Ancelotti is one of the reasons behind, because if you look at the other coaches, they've not really been able to establish an order. They've had similar call-up, but they've not been really able to distinguish the style and how they want to play. Ancelotti is one of the coaches that build around experience and talent. So if you notice his team, you always have those experienced players who've been there before, who've played particular competitions with the like of others. That's why we have Casemiro in this team, we have Marquinhos in this team, because they've been there since 2018, and then they are still there until now. So he knows how to get this experience and mix it with a breed of young ones. So it's both Ancelotti's effort, and then the team players now realizing that, oh, we have a burden to carry, and then they have been playing according to that.
Okay, yeah, they'll be playing according to that. That's what Caleb said. But just
yes, R9.
Yes, Ronaldinho, we have the likes of Roberto Carlos. So if you can call them name like that, even Kaká, Kaká as well.
Yes,
fantastic players. But bring them to this new generation player, and I think they also have very rich talent. But since 2002, when they won the World Cup, the last time they won with that is Korea, Japan. The last time they won that World Cup, till now we've not seen Brazil coming to the limelight. Like they just went 10 steps backward after that World Cup. But looking at Brazil, do you think what is actually missing is the coaching aspect, just like what Caleb rightly explained now? Bringing Ancelotti, is that the right button to push?
Well, I think Brazil actually has a very beautiful team.
You think?
Yes, they actually have a very beautiful team, because if you want to check it, they have a certain Vinicius, they have a certain Ramirez, they have a certain Casemiro, they have a certain Cunha. So I think that's a 5-star team. So if Brazil wins the World Cup 2026, then we know that Ancelotti has been the missing puzzle. But then if Brazil doesn't win the World Cup 2026, we also know that there's something wrong.
So in other words, what you are telling us that it's a time shatter.
Yes, time shall actually tell. Because you can't really say Ancelotti has been the missing piece by the group stages they played so far. When we go into the knockout stage and see them actually go through the knockout stage, even if they actually even qualify till final and they lose on the final day, we can say that yes, at least they've seen final in how many years. So that's when we can say
there's an effect, there's an Ancelotti effect there.
If not, right now, I'm pretty sure any coach can coach those boys to win those games.
Are you kidding me? But there are series of coaches that have been there, but they don't do anything.
But I mean, even with their series of coaches, they've all...
Even with the second member that was even in his prime that time, still, some coaches couldn't win anything with the Brazilian team.
Well, I feel like every team, to me, has who they really respect, and Ancelotti is a really, really respected coach, as we all know.
Okay, you are telling us that the charisma of
yes,
Ancelotti commands respect,
exactly.
So
it's just like Jose Mourinho now.
I don't know why if they are talking about coaches, you guys always bring Jose Mourinho there. You always bring him as an example. Why? Why is it like that?
Because he speaks aura. I mean, you see him going. You see him going. You can't even call top 3 coaches in the world and not add that man's name.
What has Mourinho done so far that any conversation we must just bring him in?
He sent Arsenal away from Premier League.
Did you hear what he just said? Did you hear what he said? That he sent Arsenal away from Premier League. These Chelsea people, even Kellen is also a Chelsea fan. We have Chelsea fans. So I think the Blues. We have the Blues here.
But we can actually still see what he has done. We also know what he did for Real Madrid.
He's back to Real Madrid.
And he's still back to Real Madrid. He went to Benfica and he didn't lose how many? Almost 30 something games. You saw see what he did to his So I mean, we cannot say that the charisma actually does play a role in the coaching.
Okay, Kellen, looking at Scotland, we're talking about Brazil. Looking at Scotland finishes third with a brutal -3 goal difference. If they miss out on the knockout stage, I don't know. Can we say it means? I'm talking about how can you rate them? Is it a positive result for a team like Scotland to not even qualify from the group stage?
First of all, this is Scotland's first World Cup in I think over 40 years. So it's a huge positive result that they are there in the first place. But then again, missing out on the knockout round is not anyone's joy. It's not something that they will want to be happy with. And then you look at the caliber of players that they have. They have John McGinn, they have Scott McTominay, they have Adam Christie, they have Andy Robertson, they even have Lewis Ferguson, and then Bendy Tudo. So there are some names that when you mention anywhere, people will be able to say, okay, this name should be able to deliver masterpiece. But then again, I have a problem with the Scotland coach of yesterday. So I looked at the lineup and I don't know why he's like doing this thing. It was the last group stage match. They are trying to qualify. Why not start with your best lineup? You left Adam Christie on the bench. You left Rehad on the bench. You left like 3 good young players on the bench. And then you have to suffer John McGinn. At the beginning of our collective before, that's not his best position. He likes to be at the attacking third most of the time. So play Adam Christie behind him. Play Scott McTominay in a free roaming game so that this player can give John McGinn a better freedom to get more of the ball in the serious areas. I couldn't even see enough of John McGinn's touches. So those are areas where I have to force the coach. And then Robertson, you play Robertson and Kenny, your fourth person. So I don't know why he did those tactics. Because some of those tricks were what affected his game yesterday. But I don't think it will be satisfactory enough. I don't think it will be satisfactory enough for them. Because I actually expected them to be one of the top 8 teams that will qualify to the 8. But then again, Sha, whatever life takes us to, we take it.
Yeah, let me stay before we wrap up we'll wrap up Brazil Scotland game. But looking at Brazil qualifying to the next stage, but if you look at the pedigree of other teams, what do you think Brazil will struggle with if probably they meet the likes of Argentina, the likes of France, probably England, or perhaps Spain? Who do you think Brazil will struggle with, will give Brazil the run of their money?
I think Argentina most likely. And the reason why I say Argentina is because they know the cultural heritage between them. So it's going to be a very fiercely contested match. And then it's going to be less of tactics, but more of pride and more of ego. That kind of match is sometimes you get to lose your head. Cards may come in, set pieces here and all of that may change because of the game. And then again, but if you look at other things like Spain, they may say, okay, you know what, let's just go with this formation, let's relax. But then again, Argentina is never Argentina when playing with Brazil. Argentina from the other side will flare up. Brazil from this side gets flared up. So I think it was 2014 when they lost out on the semi-finals. And one of Brazil's problems in the previous years is that they seem to play the ball around Neymar, but never help Neymar. If we watch the 2020 2023, I think, Copa America, when Argentina won the Copa America, Neymar did all the work. Neymar created the highest chances in the game, but nobody converted any of those chances. We at the World Cup in 2014, Neymar did all the work and no one supported him. That was why when Neymar went out, we all knew that they were done for. So I think now that they realize that, okay, let's try not to play so much around one person. Vini has more of the ball, Cunha has the ball shared. I think when they realize that, okay, if we play around one person, if this person is out, we are done for. That's when they have the wake up call. That's what is making them perform this good actually.
Okay, well said. It's time for us to go on a short break again, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the South Africa, and a lot of people want them to come back home, but unfortunately, South Africa said their time is not up yet. They're not coming back home. But we'll give you all those gist when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's still on this World Cup show reaching you live from the nation's capital, and I'm being with two gentlemen, Joseph Etuk and also Caleb Jackson. But do you know the coincidence among these two names? Yeah? Caleb is from Akwa Ibom. Joseph is actually from Akwa Ibom. Joseph, do you know this brother from Akwa Ibom as well? I think, should I call this coincidence, Joseph? Caleb? And you are both Chelsea fan. And you are both Chelsea fan. Wow. That's a huge one. Yeah, that's a huge one. Okay, let's dive into South Africa and South Korea. Caleb, I remember on this show, I asked you very well. South Korea, South Korea, South Africa. But everybody never gave South Africa a chance, even myself too. I did not. But look at what they did. But from your own end, how were they able to bounce back? I'm talking about the Bafana of South Africa.
I don't know, but if I was to maybe give them any reason that they did, I would say they were high spirited from the start of the game. You know, when while watching the entrance that they made, they came down from their team buses, singing, gyrating, dancing. And then I was asking myself, this is a team that has just 1 point in their last 2 matches. So what is there to be dancing for? When they entered the dressing room, they were even high spirited. The way they were changing with music, I was like, there's something about them. They kept their heads high. They said, you know what, let's play with nothing to lose. If we lose, we go home. So they played with eventually nothing to lose. But the way they started the game, they didn't start to sit back. And then that's something that coach changed from their last match. I think he noticed that against Mexico. Mexico, they sat so deep and then they lost the game. Against Czechia, they did the same thing in the first half, and then he corrected it in the second half. So they continued from where they picked up against Czechia. And then South Korea probably couldn't keep up with their intensity because in the first half, I beg your pardon, South Korea had a similarly compact shape, and then they were able to contain the South African side. They were able to limit the passes that they made. But in the second half, South Africa decided to increase their pace of attack. They decided to make the line higher, that was what eventually led to the goal. And then that was what gave them the win.
Okay, benching Son Heung-min, or how they call him, meaning that they just needed a draw. I'm talking about South Korea. They just needed a draw to go through to the next, to progress to the next stage. But unfortunately for them, they met the end, and South Africa capitalizing on that. But that coaching decision, of course, I think that should be the most arrogant coaching decision of 2026. Don't you think so, Caleb? Before I come to Joseph here.
I thought the coach has another explanation for us. I don't know why you have a player of such caliber and decide to keep him on the bench, you decide to overlook his influence to the team. If he had even started Son in that game, I believe that South Africa's attention would have been drawn to Son. I believe that they would not have been able to perform properly. But then again, you kept him on the bench, you kept him out of the game, and then these are tactical stubbornness. And then you can only defend tactical stubbornness when the result shows. When you did it against Mexico, you lost against Mexico. So going into this game, I expected that, okay, why not do something different? It's your last game for crying out loud. yesterday secure a job, he decided to now sit back with a group of players who were only willing to contain but not to advance. That's the problem. If they had half the experience that this young man had, I would have said, fine, no problem, what's going like that. And then even up until the 64th minute, Korea hadn't even produced clear-cut chances. So this is something that you have to then again look at the bench and say, okay, young man, warm up, just do anything you can to get this team in where we wanted. So yeah, 80% falls on the coach. But then again, the coach will not play the game for you. The coach can only give you instructions. When you get on the pitch, whoever you are, that's why they selected you, that's why you report for this game. If player A cannot do it, player B should be able to do it. And then doing so, you etch your name in gold in the World Cup history. But then again, the player to an extent have a fault. I don't know whether they just did not know how to create or they were scared of making those chances instead of Africa's attack. That was just how the game looks like to me.
But Joseph, looking at what the South Korean coach did, benching one of his good player, but I think he was comfortable and he knew that just a draw is enough for him to go through, and he just probably want to save he want to rest some for the next game. But how can you rest somebody when you've not qualified? If not when after you have qualified, you know that okay, yes, you are there. Whatever happened, you cannot, like, maybe let's say you have 6 points already, you get, so you know that whether you win or you lose or you draw or you are gone, you've got, then you can see you rest, but not when you know that you need at least something.
Well, I think he was too rested. I think that's the major problem he had, and that was a very questionable decision, not starting Son.
If you
knowing the caliber of the kind of player you have, knowing that okay, if you actually start this kind of player in the pitch, you might even give this other opponents pressure. It might pressure them to fumble, or just the presence alone. I mean, it's just like Portugal playing and then you're not starting Ronaldo in a match where you know that you need this win or draw to qualify. Even if the team you're playing against is one small team, the pressure of Ronaldo in that field alone is exactly the same amount of pressure that Son would have added to the match. But then deciding not to start Son was a very, 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 very questionable decision.
If you were to be their FA president, will that coach come back? Just like what is it Tunisia? Is it Tunisia that sacked their coach?
Tunisia is up like this.
Will you say the
South Korea is going, you are going.
Okay, Karen, Bafana made history. First time ever in the World Cup getting to the knockout round. Come on, do you think in fact with the whole controversies around South Africa, where even it's no longer united for South Africa again, it was divided for South Africa, because even a lot of African fans were not even in support of Africa. They wanted to come back home, and if you see a lot of things in the media, even if you remember, their captain was even when he was granting the praise, he said he does not know why their own experiences like this. They don't really know what is going on with their people back home, and you now using, and those things are political, you now using that to bring it to football. They think it's not really fair. But I think, how much of a credit will you give to this player? Because even after the criticism, they still come back, they bounce back stronger, and they see themselves going, making history for the first time. And if you recall, the last time they got to the last time they participated in the World Cup was 16 years ago, which they hosted in 2010.
Yeah, so before the match, there was something that Shabalala said on TV, especially with their game against Czechia. He said something before the game. He said this is, when it comes to World Cup, it's kind of a performance that sometimes your legs and your head might not function together. Because what you want to do, your brain might not be able to execute it, or you might be scared of if you make the wrong choices. But he said the most important thing is that if you make that decision, make the decision. So I think South Africa said after they lost, they made the decision that okay, they were going to go all out and play with their heads high, irrespective of what happened. And then one of the reasons why we don't support South Africa, they are too stubborn. I mean, look at yes, they are too stubborn. Small things. Somebody said Nigerians will be listening to our Mapiana and then they will deny that we are not good. Just imagine that. So then again, South Africa, like I said, they've been in the tournament before. They've played at this stage before, group stage, although they've not gotten past it for some time. So looking at the experience they have, I think they have over 4 players who are over 30 in their team. You have Situtole, you have Mukela, and then you have Muzombi. Those are two midfielders. And then so you see, when things like this happen, your experience comes into play. How do you coordinate the team? How do you ginger the players? How do you speak to them? Do you tell them, okay, you know what, let's play, let's keep it up. No matter what happens, we'll find our way back into this game. Or do you go back home, keeping quiet, just believing that, okay, somewhere, somehow, anything that happens, then it happens. So I feel South Africa, you know what, they said, okay, this is what's happening. Let's give it our best shot. Let's give our all. Let's take the risk. Even if it means going down one man again, it didn't seem to mind. All they needed was just going into the game with confidence. And confidence is one of the things you need as a player to play a game. So, yes, kudos to them because against all odds, they played well, they kept their heads high, and then they will focus on getting the result. So that's kudos to them.
Yeah, Caleb said they focus to get the result, and that is what really matters. Get the result, shut down your critics. That's all, and that's what really matters. But Joseph, looking at Maseko scored the historic 63rd minute, I think so.
Yes.
63rd minute winner goal, and this guy is just 22. Do you see the future of Bafana in most of these players, especially Maseko?
I mean, you can see that these youngins, they are actually showing that they are ready to ball and they are ready to secure their spot. So you can know that you will expect more from him, knowing that they've qualified for the knockout stages now. I also expect to see more passion and more form from Maseko, because that was a very beautiful, brilliant goal Maseko scored yesterday. And then being one of the youngest players on the team playing, I'm pretty sure that he can show that, yes, we are here to help the team and we are here to fight through this. So I'm pretty sure that that's a beautiful thing, not to also talk of the value that it will add to his market price.
That's the most important thing, because that market price is the main thing, because your market price need to go up, yes, for you to play, and at this age, very young. But as we try to wrap up in 2 minutes, please, Caleb, just supposed to unravel this in 2 minutes. South Africa booked a massive, when I mean massive, a massive round of 32 with Canada, with the momentum they have right now. How far can this Bafana side realistically go? Your own opinion, how far can they go with the momentum they have right now?
Yeah, with the momentum they have, I feel they qualify to I feel if they carry this momentum with the right channel, they can move to the quarterfinals as far as I can tell. Because this World Cup doesn't look easy for anyone. So any nation can come and cause an upset. So but I feel they can go to the quarterfinals. Please pardon me once again to rechannel my anger to the South African coach, and then again applauding, because looking at the first game, you had players. I remember the first game he started with a 5 at the back. Then he now remember that he had a certain opponent, and this Maseko. I remember when we were playing qualifiers. I used to watch South Africa in Nigeria is not playing. I watch South Africa the day they are playing. At least sometimes hate watch. But then again, these are two players who know how to take on their men, who on their best day will dribble and create chances. So against Mexico, he faulted. He kept them out of the game, and then they lost the game. And coming into the next game, he's ready to start his wingers properly, and then he gave them a chance. But like I said earlier, I see them going as far as quarterfinals. Up the way, Bafana. I'm not at the airport to rush you back. Let's go Bafana.
Actually, let's go Bafana. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. What an incredible breakdown, gentlemen. That's all the time we have for today's edition of the P&B World Cup show. A massive thank you to our guest, Joseph Etuk, here in the studio, and Jackson Caleb, live from Port Harcourt, for their tactical